What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. 777 Charlie is a film that is in theaters right now. You may have to look for it. I drove quite a ways to get there, but we're finally going to talk about it. And if you have a dog or you love animals, this one could hit you in every single emotion. I need your thoughts down below, and let's get into it. So we have our main character who is stuck in a rut with his negative and lonely lifestyle and spends each day in the comfort of that loneliness. Then, a pup named Charlie enters his life and gives him a new perspective towards everything. This film is one that probably stars a few dogs as Charlie, but they are all just the cutest things. And then Rakshit Shetty as Dharma, our main character, who again has just been through it. We get those flashbacks. One instance in particular is tragic and actually kind of hard to watch. I was surprised with the brutality of that scene, but it builds us to kind of understand this character and the fact that he needs someone or something in his life to kind of turn it around. I also love the introduction to our main dog at the beginning of the film. It's this nice little montage. The music can be a bit on the nose, but the cinematography is great. A couple of tracking shots here and there. And it's really unlike anything I've seen in these dog movies that it feels like we get 2 to 3 a year of, and most of the time, they fall into those cliches and conventions, and this movie does that occasionally, but to establish each individual main character in the way that they do throughout this first hour, falling in love with them individually before they come together because he really wants nothing to do with it. Then once they come together in that second act, not a spoiler, because we have that establishment, and even with a couple of pacing issues at times, the fact that the movie kind of commits to that is really nice. It was refreshing, a good change of pace, and it allowed me to know these characters and love them even more so. So I'm actually really appreciative of the filmmaking underneath this film. But then you have our performance from Shetty, who is just fantastic in this role. I mean, genuinely, you buy when he's down emotionally, you buy when he's uplifted, but most importantly, the journey that they go on in the second half of this movie, you buy that he wants to commit to that because even though he's known this dog for not a huge amount of time, so I think the question's going to be asked, is it worth putting your life at risk to trudge forward and do this for Charlie? And the answer for me would be yes, because sometimes you have an emotional bond, an emotional attachment, and you can't quite explain it. And unless you've had a dog, it's an unexplainable bond. Now, not all of us would go on the journey that our main character goes on in this film, but we can at least understand it. Yes, certain moments are unrealistic in that third act, and there is a level of suspension of disbelief, but I was completely okay with that just because of the beauty of the filmmaking and the chemistry between our main character and I'm sure a plethora of dogs playing Charlie, which was just, and again, the way Charlie got his name and just the entire backstory there was genuine and sweet. Before we go any further, if you guys are here, I've been reviewing movies such as RRR and Vikram. They're on this channel right now. Subscribe. We're going to be doing more, but I need those suggestions down below. Y'all are the reason that I watched this film in the first place. But let's continue with our review. At the beginning, the dog continues to show up on his doorstep, and you get those cliches of, well, we're coming home, dog's chewed up the sofa, little montage with music underneath, and this relationship is forming all throughout the second act. You also have a few other characters which I thought were fairly integral to the story, and they did a nice job. There's an animal rights activist who's kind of keeping an eye on our main characters when they're together, a young girl playing the neighbor who is just the sweetest, and when our two characters leave to go on that journey, you feel the emotion coming from her just as much as you do between the two protagonists. So the fact that they built her up so well, and every time we come back to her, I had a smile on my face. She was a really good character. There's some beautiful moments in this film. One in particular where he's rushed to the hospital and the dog follows him the entire way, and you're just, the intensity and the emotions from that scene were so great. There are also some beautifully emotional scenes, and the trajectory of this film, kind of knowing the fate, or in a sense, why they're taking this trip in the first place, and then getting there and being just punched right in the gut with those emotions. And it's not something that even young kids will probably want to watch or be entirely happy with. It's like, it is a family film. Absolutely. And it's so vastly different from what I expected to see from Shetty as Dharma. But if you can't handle the tragedies that come with certain dog movies, and I'm not trying to spoil anything, but if you can't handle exactly what I'm talking about, it may not be the movie for you because it may just be too much. Now, that being said, it's as emotional as you want it to be, and this was unexpected for me because, again, these dog films, a lot of the times, they are cliche and conventional, and that's probably my biggest problem with this movie, that and the fact that I do believe it is just a bit too long. The film could have been tighter. There are scenes that linger just a bit, moments where I said, okay, I feel like we could have wrapped this up in 5 minutes as opposed to 15 minutes, but they never go overboard with the humor, and they never fall into the cliches that a lot of these other dog movies do. I think of a film like Togo. That's a great example of knowing exactly what it is. I would put this film in the same category. Before I give you my score, get in that comment section down below. Let me know if you enjoyed this movie. Have you watched my reviews for KGF RRR Vikram? What movie should I check out next? And I am going to give this a 78%. I think it is a 4-star movie. I genuinely enjoyed myself, and this is a bit different for me because normally these animal companion films, while I get emotionally attached, they just fall into too many cliches, but the performances are just so good here. It's like, how did you not get emotionally moved? And a lot of people are going to feel those emotions, especially at the end. My goodness. All right, you guys the best. Come back soon. I'll see you later.